So the root chakra is located near the base of your spine, the tailbone of your spine. If you don't know what a chakra is, I'm not going to take a lot of time to try to explain it because it's a little difficult to explain. However, it is not some fluffy thing anymore. There are many, many, many doctors of many levels recognizing the energy body, recognizing how pain lives at a cellular level in our bodies. And many of them are now even making, not all your regular medical doctors, I know, but some, they're starting to recognize the value of understanding energy in the body. So the root chakra is where you are grounded. It has to do with you feeling safe in the world. It has to do with your family. So I know that everyone here had a perfect family. No problems, right? No trauma, no drama, no abuse of any kind. For the one or two of you who are the exceptions in the room, and there are some exceptions. There are people who actually had that. It blows my mind. I can't even imagine it's possible. But it is true that people have grown up in these wonderful, loving, safe homes. I hope that my kids say they grew up in a loving, safe home. Maybe not my first one so much, but that's a different story. So if you had in early years of between 0 and 7 where you didn't feel very safe in the world, where there was some violence in the household, whether it be physical or other kinds, even just verbal abuse and a lot of anger, what you will find is that where that happened in your life, it'll affect your place of comfort. You won't always feel safe. It has a particular effect upon your body, and you can look these things up. So in the work that I've been doing I actually want to read something to you. In the work that I've been doing with individuals and in the classroom and in the coaching, the group coaching that I'm doing, I am focusing probably the biggest amount of my attention right now on forgiveness, on all aspects of forgiveness. Forgiveness of self is key. And I hope to explain to you why. This is not the first time I've spoken about this, but I want to speak about it again from a new place. But I want to read to you, because today is called, what's it called? Dream Yourself Alive. And we don't mean dreaming as in when you have REM, that sleep type of dreaming. Michael Beckwith, many years ago, introduced the visioning process. Michael Beckwith, though, is not the first person to use some form of dreaming. Aboriginal tribes and such and cultures have been using some form of dreaming their life into reality for eons and eons of time. They might have done it, around a campfire. They might have done it while sharing a medicine pipe. They might have done it in a trance-like state. But it was a way of being co-creative with the intelligence that exists. Now, I'm saying intelligence, I also mean God. So we can call that whatever we want. So Alberto Villoldo says, in the opening of his book, in his introduction, whether we realize it or not, we are all dreaming the world into being, and I want you to remember that. What we're engaging in is not the sleeping act we're so familiar with, but rather a type of dreaming we do with our eyes open. When we're unaware that we share the power to co-create reality and the universe itself, that power slips away from us, causing our dream to become a nightmare. And then we use it irresponsibly, and that's the problem. We begin to feel we're the victims of an unknown and frightening creation, and we're unable to influence, and events seem to control and trap us. The only way to end this dreadful reality is to awaken to the fact that it too is a dream, and then recognize our ability to write a better story, one that the universe will work with us to manifest. There are many places that you and I could go where we would be accused of being too happy. Or we could be accused of being Pollyanna-ish. You've heard that, right? I'm sure you've run into that. Oh, that positive thinking stuff, right? We've all seen it. And sometimes we hear things like, think happy thoughts, which is a pretty empty thing if you don't really know what that means. And yet it's incredibly powerful if you know what it means. Thinking happy thoughts will get no one anywhere if you're not connected with how you're connected to that which fills it with potency. It is our relationship with the divine that governs and empowers those happy thoughts. So if we're busy paying attention to, if all that catches your attention in the news is the next shooting and the next hurricane and the next this, that is on the negative side of the news, if that is the only thing that catches your attention, then you are absolutely part of co-creating that world into being on a regular basis. Now, you're all very powerful, awake people. Shouldn't you pay attention so you could be part of the solution? Absolutely. So what we do if we want to dream a new reality into being, we see it without being invested in it. We offer our prayers, we offer our blessings. And then we begin to recreate by making sure that we're paying attention to something wonderful. The other day I was in a nail salon getting my nails done. And I look up at the television there, and they always have these cooking shows on, which is kind of fun and amusing. I like to watch them. And it was a show about Halloween and all this Halloween food, and they're making things that look like eyeballs and spiders, fun stuff, especially for kids for Halloween. It was cute. But as I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, I couldn't help but I was struck with the comparison of the amount of money involved with that television station to deliver that lesson of creating eyeballs while knowing that people are leaving their home in countries, things you and I can't imagine. And I'm not so sure why it struck me, and I was having this conversation with Neil the other day, but while getting my nails done, felt petty and trite. When I realized that you and I have never, and I've been down some roads, you know that I never pretend to have not sinned. I've never pretend to not have failed. I've done so many times. But you and I, with the worst of us, haven't earned the right to really complain when I look at the world and what is going on around us. Now, so while I'm stricken by that, that impacts me, while I'm impacted by that image and by that feeling, now I get to make a choice. Now I have to choose, who am I going to be in the midst of that? Am I simply going to feel pity or sorrow or upset, or am I going to be part of the solution? Now, you might say to yourself, what possible solution could there be as I'm sitting in Lincoln Park, New Jersey, getting my nails done? Well, the solution is to be in a state of blessing and in a constant state of forgiveness. This is not a joke. I'm going to ask you in all seriousness. Would you raise your hand if there's anything you have ever done, knowingly or not knowingly, to another human? So we could all share that there's a good reason for us to start with forgiveness, isn't there? And I'm going to tell you this. If you want not to be at the mercy of what was, you have to let go of it first yourself. You have to let go of it. You have to let go of your own sin. Sin in this teaching means mistake. That's all it means. And anything we've created, we can recreate. There is nothing that any one of us has done that is not forgivable. You don't sit around waiting to earn the forgiveness. You don't try to fix yourself. You take it because it's taking on the grace. And as we're co-creating our world and redreaming it into being, it'll come from a practice of forgiveness and compassion. Because if I can forgive me, I can begin to forgive you. Understand? Very important. Alberto Villoldo in the book says, it takes courage to taste infinity. Now, when we refer to infinity in this way, we're referring to that place where we create a new reality because we're pulling it from that which appears to not exist. So we have to know, so if I'm watching the news and I'm seeing these thousands of men and women and children driven from their home on foot, everything they have carried on their back, and I'm in New Jersey, what I have to do is I have to lend my heart and my soul. I have to practice the forgiveness that I've had maybe of my being self-centered and not being present to them. And then I'm going to practice forgiveness for whatever caused them to be driven from their homes, even if I don't know the fine details, because I don't want to be caught in the details. Because as a metaphysician, I'm looking to raise my vibration. You cannot raise your vibration and know all the details. They're contrary. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Are you with me on this? Very important. He also says, and as you do this healing work, as your transformation begins to take place, and how will you know? Physically, you'll feel lighter. You'll feel more able. You'll feel joyful when you don't even necessarily have a reason to feel joy, like there's nothing sparking it. So he says you need to have a visceral understanding of your dreaming power and experience it in every cell of your body. This, my dear folks, I was going to pick out a particular culture in the room. I won't. This is why I beg you to get out of your seats and dance. This is why I beg you to move. Because when your body is moving, the negativity that we see can't hang on us as much. But when we're in a state of joy and celebration, we are shaking off that which shouldn't be hanging on to us and making room for a higher vibration. So then when you walk into a room and I walk into a room, we're carrying a whole other something into that room. You get that? To quench our... wrong sentence. Lacking the courage to admit that you're a co-conspirator in a nightmare that isn't making you feel empowered or happy. You simply choose to avoid thinking about the discomfort. When you continue plodding forward, one foot in front of the other, then you begin to dream a different dream. So what happens is, if we go asleep, we don't stay present. We are adding to what was. It is only when we wake up and we practice forgiveness and we practice compassion and all of those other things that we can show up and start to create a new art, a new way of being, a new conversation. It only happens through you. Ernest Holmes said that in 1,000 different ways in the textbook. Anything that's worth doing has to happen through you. It doesn't work any other way. Apathy, because some of us sometimes experience this, manifests as depression and learned helplessness. The belief that all of one's past experiences are evidence of the utter futility of trying to affect one's life. People who suffer from learned helplessness, think they have no control over their situation. So even if their suffering is great, they won't take the smallest action to change matters because they figure, what's the point? I do not mean this in a disrespectful way, but at the point that you walk into a center like this is the point where you get to start realizing that there are no victims. I know that might be an ouch, so I try to say it gently. There are no victims. The pain that we experience is because somewhere in an awake or an unawake moment we chose to participate, or we chose to participate by not choosing, which according to Kennedy Schultz says by not deciding, you're deciding. And you're picking the least good idea by choosing to just stand back and watch it as if something is happening before you. Something I have said to you many, many, many times. Hear it again. You are never at the mercy of what was. Say that with me. You are never at the mercy of what was. Not now, not ever. Ever. You and I have the choice. The choice comes from finding within us that place that is worthy of forgiveness. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of forgiveness that's like a pat on the back. It's, yeah, I forgive you. I'm talking about deep, heartfelt, solid work. Do you do it one time? Hell no. You might have to do it every day. Every time you speak unkindly, you just have a moment. Ever have a moment? You know, a moment. I like to just call them moments. We have moments. We have a moment of insanity. You speak maybe harshly to someone you love dearly, and you think to yourself, why did I do that? So we practice forgiveness. So what I'd like you to do, and take you into a quick experience, if you will. I'd like you to close your eyes if you're willing. Take a couple of breaths and get very present to this moment, to the chair that you're sitting upon. Feel the settling in the room. And as I'm speaking to you, what I'd like you to do right now is to allow yourself to do a quick inventory of your life right now, of recent times. We're not going to even go back very far right now unless you have to go back to think of something. And I'd like you to recall something that's recently happened, something maybe even slightly unkind that came out of your mouth. Maybe you just being so angry and you didn't speak it. But maybe you didn't wish somebody well. Maybe you even wish them harm. One of the ways we do this that goes unnoticed is through judgment and condemnation. Have you judged? Have you judged righteously lately? If you have judged righteously, you have been unkind. Because when you judge righteously, you close down to the truth of someone. You close down to the truth of yourself. So find something and just bring it to mind right now. If there's a couple of things that happened in a row, bring them to mind in a group. And I really appreciate, thank you. And now what I'd like you to do is take that memory or that little group of memories for a moment, just put it off to the side in your mind. Just put it off to the side, just a little bit. Not out of reach, just out of your focus. And now what I'd like you to bring to mind is the beauty of you. How loving, wonderful, creative, and amazing you are. Bring to mind the last time you gently touched someone on the shoulder to comfort them. That you brought a smile to someone's face or laughter. And remember that within yourself and bring that to at a cellular level in your body by really recalling it and saying, yeah, that's who I am. And then what I'm asking you to do is to take a deep, deep breath, and on the exhalation, expand that feeling of wonderfulness about you. And then take a second breath, and once again, expand that feeling within you. Now, if it hasn't filled at every cell right now, if it hasn't reached from fingertip to fingertip, from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, take one more breath until it fills your entire inner being. Now, as you're being that light, that vibration of love, that vibration of forgiveness and compassion and acceptance and beauty and all of those things, pull that little group or that single thought back over from the side, bring it into your heart space, and watch it dissolve away. Because you're now remembering who you are. This is who you are. And that was just a moment. And as it gets absorbed into you, it gets released, the energy of it has no more. It has no more energy, it has no more charge. You are this experience of fullness of power. This is who you are. We each need to remember that every day. You don't harm someone because you don't care. You have a moment of forgetfulness. But today we remember and we forgive our moments of forgetfulness. So Neville says that imagination is a form of God. So in this forgiveness, we imagine this activity within us, and we expand our effectiveness in the world. We expand the way we touch the world and affect it through beauty and dreaming it into a new reality. And it is good. So if you will, just whispering to yourself, I want you to say two things. I forgive myself. And I remember who I am. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And so I remind you again, the imagination is a way of creating. And some of us make big mistakes when we're driving in the car. I don't know what that is. There's something about being alone in the car with the doors closed. We think no one's paying attention, not even God. We figure all bets are off. I can say, think, or do anything I want as long as I'm in this car. You can't. You are never outside of God. You are never outside of the effect of your imagination. You are always, I am always, we are always co-creating our world. So if we want to dream a new reality into being, we have to remember it is not just here on Sunday for an hour or in the classes. It is wherever we are and whatever we're doing. Yes? Yes. And so it is. Okay. So to do it, I want to change the energy a little bit. I'd like you all to stand. Hold the hand of somebody next to you. And keep your eyes open. Let's keep our eyes open and begin to consciously dream the world by choosing what we see. Because it is by choice that we create and recreate. Got it?
Yes.
So let us know right here and right now, by virtue of the power and the presence and the love of the one that shows up by all these faces, that shows up as the music that we hear, the building that we're in, the thing itself that is everywhere present all the time. Let us know by virtue of that power that we each have within us everything required to create and recreate the world according to our heart and our soul and our beingness and our desires. Let us see the world through the eyes of love. Let us see the world through compassion. Let us see the ills of the world as healed and made whole. Let us walk in every room and be a minister of possibility, because we each have the capacity within us to call this forth by being the love that we are and the eyes that we see and the smiles on our face and that beauty and that light. So let us embrace it. Let us remember who we are in this moment. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you, God. And so it is.
And so it is.